Good morning, good afternoon. It's Monica Reynolds, and thank you for attending this webinar. And I appreciate it. I know I've got some people that have come back another time, and never use but. I understand that from Bold. And one of the things that I think so great is that you listen at different levels every time you hear something. And so there's really no new news in real estate. It's just about where you are and what level your ears are listening at. So I appreciate you being on the call. All these calls are different based on what's happening in my world and what I talk about. So I look forward to talking with you. My email is monica@monicareynolds.com. You can also request me on Kelly. That would be a good idea. Put me in your referral network would be awesome. So hopefully you know how to use Kelly. You can just ask for my name. You can just say Kelly, Monica Reynolds contact information, and then it pops up, and you can request me and Kelly. So it's just that easy. So hopefully you guys are using all of these great tools that Gary has spent the last 2 years developing to make us number one in technology. So with that said, there is a PowerPoint, and I look forward to answering any of your questions. Holly will put the questions up. They'll come up, and then Holly will ask me those questions toward the end. This call will be no more than about 40 minutes at the most, and so I'll leave a few minutes, 10 minutes or 5 minutes at the end based on how fast I go through the slides, because you never know what I get caught talking about, so it's going to be fun. So with that said, we've got one more minute before we start, and then Holly, I'll let you start the call, and then we'll go from there. Got a minute left, right, Miss Holly?
Yes, just under a minute.
Okay, good. Shut my office door here. Just realized I forgot to do that. Hopefully everybody is recovered from family reunion. I think I'm still recovering.
Okay. It is the top of the hour, Monica, so we'll go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Hire and Train the Perfect Real Estate Assistant with your MAPS coach, Monica Reynolds. Please note this webinar is being recorded, and you will automatically receive the webinar recording. If you have any questions for your coach, please type them into the questions box located in your webinar taskbar. Following the webinar, if you have any questions about today's call or coaching programs, please email us at fasttrack@kw.com. That is fasttrack@kw.com. Monica, that's all for me. Take it away.
Good morning, good afternoon, great agents and assistants on this call. So how to hire and train the perfect real estate assistant. I absolutely have the rights to say this, that I've trained more assistants and agents than anyone in the country. I've never calculated how many assistants, but one time Diane and I, Kokoska, who runs the great MAPS department, she's the CEO of MAPS, we figured out about 100,000. But I've done 76,000 one-on-one calls, plus. I quit counting after that. And so I want to share with you my information, my knowledge. I also ran a seventh level team. I've been in real estate almost 40 years now. When real dinosaurs were walking around, we did have cars, but that was just about it. So with that said, let's get started. So Holly, let's go to the next slide. So about the program, it starts on March 13th. And is your business running you? Are you running your business? You know, discover how to best structure, operate, manage the many aspects of your real estate office. Okay, so we're going to go through that. And I'll talk a little bit more about the course. The course is for agents, one call a month for agents on how to be a great boss. Let's go to the next slide, Holly. So we're going to talk real quickly about how to hire and train the perfect real estate assistant. First of all, you got to know your budget. Does it support another hire? Do not hire an assistant, your first assistant or your second assistant, until you have the budget for that. Do not put yourself in jeopardy. Know your numbers. Do they support a hire? So, for example, if you are at 35 plus transactions, you need a real estate assistant to go to 50, to go to 75. You've got to hire the right people. There's nothing like hiring the best possible person for your business. It absolutely goes like a rocket ship. And when you hire the wrong person, it's like walking in quicksand in your office. It's like, oh my goodness. Or you get the jobs back. You go, well, just let me do it. Just let me do it. Okay, fine. I'll train you later. Let me do it. Don't do that. And you've got to have a very detailed job description, a 30, 60, 90-day plan, and make sure your compensation plan is ready and that you've discussed days off, that you have a training program in place. Make the investment to train. You guys go to family reunion. You go to different conferences. You go to training at your market center. Make sure that your assistant is exposed to growing and has a growth plan to know real estate and understand it. I also believe that assistants should go to Bold. Why? Because they understand how hard your job is. And they understand a Bold 100. They understand about asking for business. Plus, they then have to do the Bold 100, which is awesome. So next slide. So when you're looking to hire people, don't just look at their resume. Make sure they have a good cultural match for your company. Spell out in detail what your expectations are, where and when they'll work, what meetings and trainings are expected, what level of participation and support is expected. Now's the time to discover whether or not they're willing to adhere to your company standards. So believe in career visioning. I've taken it 5 times. Every time I go, I hear something different. So write down career visioning. You need to go. When you have a bad hire, it's 3 times their salary. They've cost you that much money. They've either lost business, taken time away from you. It's 3 times per Gary Keller, their salary. Now, I believe in calling them up. When I get a resume, I take the resumes. Now, write this down because it's not on your slides. You're going to divide them up into 3 piles. One pile is admin experience. The second pile is admin with real estate experience. The third pile is Burger King. Nothing wrong with Burger King, but I need someone who has some admin experience. I don't need to take someone completely into the learning curve that much. So I need some admin experience, if nothing else. So then I've taken those. Then I'm going to pick out the 4 or 5 that really resonate with me. There's another tip here. I look for someone who hasn't had more than 2 jobs in 2 years. Why? Because there's something wrong when somebody has 6, 7 jobs in 2 years. There's a job jumper, something's goofy. I've got enough resumes here. I don't need to look at that. So write these 4 questions down. So I will call them, and I will interrupt their day. And I'll say, hi, it's Monica Reynolds with Keller Williams. Thank you so much for sending that resume. May I ask you a couple of questions? Did I catch you at a good time? Now, if they say, no, I'm in the middle of something, you go, I respect that. Can I call you back at 4? Would that work for you? Yep, 4 would be great. So then that's good, right? So then what I'm looking to do is to have a quick conversation. Can they respond with some personality over the phone? Do they sound like The Walking Dead? Can they put 2 sentences together? They're going to be talking to your clients. They represent you. They are you when they're talking to the client. So it's very important how they handle a phone conversation. So I'll say, I have your resume, so write these questions down. I have your resume in front of me. So tell me a little bit about your job path. I'd like to hear about your path. If they go, where would you like me to start? Okay, bad answer so far. We're not doing well there. Or they go, okay. Or they just act like they're dead. Let me think about that a minute. Okay, I don't hire the dead people. Go work at a morgue. Okay. Number 2, what are you the best at? Tell me what you love to do. What are you the least best at? What do you not really like to do? Well, I really don't like to talk to people. Oh, okay, bad mark there. Next question, number 4. Tell me about your hobbies. What do you do in your spare time? Remember, I'm just having a quick little conversation. If I like their voice, then I go on to the next step, which I'll tell you. If I don't like their voice and how they answer questions, I'll say, thank you for talking with me. We'll let you know in the next few days what our next step is. Thank you. Then we send them an email, call them, whatever you want to do, and say, thank you so much. We filled the position. Done. I don't need to have them come into the office. I need someone with some personality on the phone that's excited to talk to me and can put 2 sentences together. Now, if I like their phone voice, I say, so, Sarah, may I ask you a favor? Today is Wednesday. May I ask you by Friday at 5 o'clock, I've got 2 personality tests. It's just who you are. You can't win or lose on them. Don't fret on it. One's called a KPA. One's called a DISC test. One will take 45 minutes. Next one may take 20 minutes. Could you have that done by 5 o'clock on Friday? Well, yes, I can. I go, great. Now, what happens if it's 5:15 and I get them? I'm not calling them back. I'm a punctual person. I believe in punctuality. It's respectful. If you said you're going to do it, you need to do it. You've now indicated to me that time is not one of your priorities. So I'm moving on. So those are 4 great questions to ask. So the next slide, Holly, we're going to talk about the ad. So this is an ad I wrote a zillion years ago in the 90s. And then in the 2000s, Gary put it in the MREA book, parts of it. So he liked it too. You should be an organizer, a positive person, a good communicator, both written and verbal, have excellent computer skills. You can't hire. Someone told me at family reunion, I think I hired the wrong assistant. They don't have any computer skills. And I go, how can people not have computer skills? Genetically, these millennials, these younger people are born genetically knowing how to do this. How can you hire someone who doesn't have computer skills? You don't hire those people. Tell them to go get the skills, come back and re-interview, or come back and, we'll test you out then. Work in a fast-paced office, etc. This is not an entry-level position. Please indicate salary level. First step is to email your resume to. Do not give out your phone number. Do not identify yourself. Have one of those, emails, etc. And be patient. Put those ads out. And some of you say, well, where do I put them? Okay. So Wise Hire is a place that you can go and pay, I believe, $195 a month, and they'll find and screen these people, and then you just interview the 4 or 5 that they come up with. Indeed.com is where the mega agents in Gary's mastermind, which I happen to be part of, thank you, Gary, they use Indeed.com. And then there's a whole bunch of others that are probably indigenous to your area, but Indeed.com is the top one. So next slide will say the importance of a job description. You can't hire someone without a job description. It's a roadmap to success. It's clarity of expectations. You're now going to be able to your business will be duplicatable and scalable because someone has a roadmap. And it's also a job description is a training checklist. You check it off as you go. It's a training checklist. So I never hire someone until the last interview, maybe the 4th interview. Can't have just one, can't have 2. Maybe the 4th interview, and then I go over the job description, each line, and say, you may not know how to do these things. This is what will be expected. This is not a wish list. This is what will be expected of you. Then if they say, great, they agree to that, then I then present the offer letter and how they'll get paid. All right? Now, with that said, I want to back up. When someone comes into my office, they better be on time. Early's good to interview. They shake my hand, and some of you, if you hand someone a very limp, kind of like a dead fish, the only way to describe it is just kind of hangs there, that's not good. I need someone confident that looks me in the eye and say, hi, Monica, nice to meet you. I'm Betsy, or I'm Sarah, Jane, whoever. And I go, great, nice to meet you. If you come into my conference room and you're fidgeting and you're looking down and you're, messing with your fingers and your hands and you're nervous, that may not be, I'm going to give you a chance because I've got to validate your KPA and your DISC. I may not want to hire you because I need someone who's really confident. And I understand being nervous at first, but you should calm down at some point during the interview. Okay, a couple of other little tips. Moving on, 30, 60, 90-day plan. Okay, so on this particular slide, thank you, Holly, you want to focus on the SMART goals. So being specific, measurable, achievable, repeatable, timely. No one has better training than Keller Williams. This is amazing. So this 30, 60, 90-day plan, I happen to be the author of. They contacted me to write this plan. At first it came through that they had written it at KWRI, and I go, well, that's not really how it works. So on the first 30-day plan, let's go to that, Holly. The 30-day goal is this. Answer the phone professionally. Be able to transfer calls and pick up voicemail. So that's the 30-day goal, all right? Now, the other part of the 30-day goal is own the database and help grow the database, minimum of 3 entries per day. The other goal is know and effectively communicate the listing process from A to Z. So it's answering the phone. The phone's a cash register, working the database, and processing a listing from A to Z. That's it. You don't need to do anything else besides those 3 things. Own that in 30 days. It's not about the P&L. It's not about tracking numbers. It's not about, negotiating repairs if you're licensed or getting repair requests done. No, it's none of that. It's those three things. And as an agent, we will make the mistake of saying, here's your job description, get all this done in 30 days. It doesn't work that way. All right? 60 days. Let's go to that slide, Holly. 60 days. So now in 60 days on date, we're going to introduce, and you should be proficient on, knowing the closing files. Now that sometimes takes a little longer. So that closing file can take a little longer, but let's just say, that you're going to go through the closing checklist, you know how to build the file, you schedule inspections, you manage repairs, you negotiate if licensed, you monitor contingencies, dates, you ask for reviews and referrals. That you can learn in that next 30 days. Tracking numbers, appointments set, listings taken, listings under contract, buyers, price reductions closed, sources of business, and you should add there growing the database. You need to track the numbers on the database. Lead generation systems. Okay, so at this point, maybe you support one. Maybe you support one like sending out expired letters or pulling all the FSBOs and getting the numbers together for the agent. Maybe there's some small support at this time. But right now, in 60 days, you should know how to open a closing file, open a listing file, communicate with the sellers, track numbers, handle the phone, data entry, database. That's it. Okay, let's keep this simple now, because that's my middle name. If you've been attending my classes, I keep it simple. It's simplistic. 90-day goals. All marketing. Now we're going to get into social media, Facebook, whatever. All listings, all pendings, the database, phone and scripts, tracking numbers, goal monitoring, the 15th protocol of the month. So if you join the program, the assistant will be in charge of that. And maybe one or two lead generation systems. And then you're checking it off that they have learned to do these things. So I wanted to also mention, let's go to the slide on the next important tools for great client communication. I also wanted to mention that when someone comes in on that first interview and they say, well, what is the pay for this job? I never answer that question. I say, gosh, thank you so much. I know that's important to you. Our first meeting today is for me to validate your test and for you to get to know me and I get to know you. Now watch this question I ask. So what did you learn about me before you came here? Oh, I Googled your name. I have a bunch of questions I wrote down, ... What if they said, I said, what have you learned about me and my team? Oh, I didn't have a chance to look that up. So tell me, what do you do? Bad answer. I have another question that I ask in interview number 1. I'm just curious. When you know of someone in your family or friends, your sphere of influence, past coworkers, would you be willing to refer them to our team? You would be compensated, of course. However, I need to ask the question, are you committed to being part of this team, and would you refer us business? Would you bring in a list of those people? Oh, no. I have a few people every year who want to buy something that I know, but my mom sells a couple houses a year. I have to give them to her. Well, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate meeting with you. Boom, you're out the door. I need someone committed to my team and not, giving your mom 2 deals a year. No. Okay. All right, so let's look at this slide. Learn how to use these important tools for great client communication. Pass the baton. Well, what the heck is that? So in the training class, I make sure that as an agent, and I train you to understand these things too, you can't throw a file down and say, hey, get it on the market. They're excited that they want to sell. They need to sell right away. Because motivation, are they happy or are they sad that they're selling? Did they lose their house? Is it a job promotion? Are they being transferred? Are they moving out of area because their mother has Alzheimer's? You need to know before, as an assistant, what you're walking into. By the way, here's customer service. Are there any pets on the premise? Well, yeah, we told Monica about our dog, Tank. What if they said, wow, Monica told me about your family member, Tank. He sounds like a cool guy. I hear he watches dog TV every day, and I hear he has his own bedroom. That's so cool. I'd love to meet him someday. That's customer experience. And Gary Keller has talked to his top 100 group about how important it is, without a doubt, that you absolutely must make sure that you have customer experience, that we're building these relationships. It's all about these people and understanding. Like another thing I talk about is MMFI, make me feel important. So passing the baton and personality styles, these are all things that I go over in the course to create repeat and referral business. The 3-week honeymoon, which is so important, which is not on here. Within 3 weeks, I teach your assistant and you how to get a price reduction automatically, easily, and magically. You should never have a property go over 3 weeks. I don't care about the shift. If you read Tactic 12, you need to stay on top of that and protect their equity. I will teach you how to do that. 10 days, 10 calls in 10 days. Well, here's the revelation on that. I am a firm believer that in this market, you need to set yourself apart. What is your value proposition? If your assistant is trained and I give her the scripts or him the scripts for 21 days, you call every day on a listing. They're getting 6% of the value of their home to you, whether you're getting the whole 6% or not. That's the way they look at it. And so when they've listed their property, 6% of the value of their home and their hard equity is coming off the top to you. And so when we reach out every day, you're not going to get them every day. You're not going to talk to them every day, but it's so important. It's so important to absolutely make those calls. The same thing on a closing. It's so important to have the assistant reach out. Now, if you're juggling 47 closings a month, your assistant's not going to call but twice a week, but they better call twice a week. If they're just calling once a week, you're not building a customer client for life, and that is a critical part of this. So let's move on to the next slide, the Friday report. Thank you, Holly, Friday report. So if you have questions, start putting them through the chat box because I'm going to be able to answer some pretty quick. We're coming to a couple of times to do that. So one of the reasons, or two of the reasons people get divorced is communication and money. The two top reasons that assistants leave is communication. That's really the reason that they leave, because they didn't understand the job or you didn't explain it. They're leaving, okay? Or money. So with that, I always had this Friday report, and I still have this. This is absolutely a gem. A Friday report is this. Every Friday from my admin, my buyer agents, this report, it comes from them to me by 10 o'clock on Friday. 5 things I accomplished to move the business forward, okay? Week high, week low. And what did you do to wow a customer? It's an effective way to get a list of the accomplishments of the week. So at the end of the week, now I had an assistant, his name was Charlie, and he pushed back hard on this. I'm way too busy. We're processing a listing a day. I can't do this. So I said, oh, well, you'll get a pass this week, but don't pass next week. So he put it together. The next week he put it together. He came to me and goes, you know what? On Fridays, I usually feel so exhausted. It's kind of cool to see the things that happen, and I'm glad I'm doing this because it gives me a list that, wow, some things did happen. Now, what I'm looking at, what's the week high, the week low? Sometimes they'll tell me some personal things. My grandmother's really sick. I'm really close to her, that kind of thing. So now I get involved sometimes in another way, too, that just sometimes doesn't come out in conversations because we're all got our head down and we're working hard. And what did you do to wow a customer? In this day and age, with the shift happening, with Zillow going after all of our clients, with all these other kind of agents coming out of the woodwork and working double, triple time, we've got to pay attention. What is our value proposition? What do we do to set ourselves apart? So in the training that I do, there is a 450-page office policy and procedures manual. About 25 to 41 pages are sent to you each week before the call. So, Holly, let's go to the last slide. So the next launch is March 13th. If you put in the code WEB100, you can save $100. The course is $195 a month. There are 3 one-hour calls each month for 6 months. The first call is only for agents. I do not want the assistants on the call, the first call of the month. And that call is for agents. So talk about how to be a great boss, what your assistant is going to learn, how to help them be accountable, and implementing these systems and building this policy and procedures manual. The goal is you'll never be hostage to anyone leaving you. you will have systems in place that are duplicatable and scalable. Whether you're doing 25 deals or 125 or 1,000 deals, people who come into my class, no matter what level of debt, they're building duplicatable and scalable. And so some of you say, well, I've had my assistant for 4 or 5 years. Can they really learn something? Yes. Yes, I have so many testimonials of people who are doing hundreds and hundreds of deals who are saying, well, I was really reluctant taking this class, but it's been absolutely a breath of fresh air. I've really gotten rejuvenated. I really feel good about the business. So invest in your people. Invest in what's an opportunity. I've done this more than anyone out there as far as training assistants. I have a manual for you that's duplicatable and scalable with the end result of building your database, building repeat and referral business. And if you are at Family Reunion, we're going to incorporate Command. We've got Kelly we're incorporating. More and more of that will be going in there so that your assistant will now be accountable to get those things up and running for you. So with that said, Holly, let's talk about, so go to mapsgroupcoaching.com, mapsgroupcoaching.com, and click on there, sign up. Love to have you on the calls. The calls, oh, by the way, are live. They're live calls. I don't do canned calls. They're live. So you get to talk to me, you get to interact, we get to ask questions, we get to see what the ahas are, etc. So Holly, what questions do we have?
Yes, so we just have one question asking about the classes being recorded and just letting them know that all the classes are recorded, the live calls.
Yeah, so here's the deal. You get a 450-page plus manual. The calls are recorded and they're live. The course is 6 months long, and it goes really fast. We're just fitting a course today, and people on the call are going, I can't believe it's over already. We want more. And so with that said, 2 months now, 60 days after the course is over, those calls are still available. So if you're just getting ready to hire an assistant, join now, because then so you hire someone in April, they can go back and listen to the 2 calls in March. Hire, if you don't have an assistant, we have about 25 to 30% that are agents who want the systems so that they can figure out when and how to hire, because they go through a whole hiring process. It's a lot more in depth. And the key thing too is that I think what's important is that when you look at, you invest in people. And Gary Keller said in his top mastermind, the biggest investment you make is in people. And you get the training that they need, and you have the growth plan, and you have the accountability. I will help you with all of that. I take the mystery out of all of that. When you hire an assistant, you put them into this class, they will grow because you know what they're supposed to be doing. I'm telling you, and then I'm on top of them to get those things done. And they have homework assignments on each class. Anything else, Holly?
Yes. Somebody, can you go over again how much an agent should be making prior to hiring an assistant or in order to hire an assistant?
Yeah, so let's not make a mistake here, okay? So you should be, because of Gary Keller wrote in the MRA in the 2000s, and I wrote in my books in the 1990, that you need to be at 40 to 45 transactions. Now, with that said, commissions have gone up. So we're really brought that back down to 30 to 35. So if you're doing that kind of business where you're doing 3 a month consistently, then I'm going to say to you, you're missing 3 deals a month consistently too, because you're doing the full-time job of an admin. So you need to make sure you have the budget for it. So I would put aside a separate reserve account where you have at least 3 months of salary. So if you're going to pay your assistant, a base salary of $2,500 or $3,000, wherever, everybody's, price point is different. Whatever that happens to be, do you have 3 months set aside for that salary? Now, here's the key thing. Here's the true story. I had just gotten divorced in the 80s and had 3 little kids. And a business person said to me, you need to hire an assistant. I was doing about 55, 60 transactions on my own, pulling my hair out. And I said, I don't need another mouth to feed. I'm good. He goes, no, please do this. And I said, okay, fine. I'm going to hire someone. And I said, in 30 days, if it doesn't work out, I'm firing him. I said, I'll make the commitment for 30 days. So at that time, I had set aside $2,500, $3,000, whatever it happened to be. And so I had enough money for that person for the first 30 days. And I said to myself, if she doesn't help me and I don't see a progression where I'm doing more business or I get a little bit of my life back, she's gone. Guess what? I went from doing, when I hired my first assistant, I went from 60 deals to 120 that first year. I could double my business because I took all of that extra time now, and I was talking to people, I was networking, I was making my calls, I was returning calls. I lost more business than I did most of the time because I couldn't get back to people in time. Oh, we didn't hear from you. We know you're so busy. So we went ahead and did this. And I went, oh, brother. So I lost a lot of business doing 50 to 60 deals because you can't do it. So what I'm saying to you, do you have the budget? Do you have a comfort zone? You never want to go into debt. And I hear too many agents who say, well, I'm going to go week to week on the salary. I'm going to hope I can pay. No, you don't. You don't put that pressure on you when you're a commission salesperson. You do not do that. So make sure you have money set aside and you take the time to hire the right person. You don't hire the first person that walks through the door. You have 3 or 4 interviews. You do a life story. You're not looking for the victims. You're looking for the victorious. You're looking for the winners. And if they come in and their life story is victim, 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 get them out of there. All they're going to do is take your business down. All right. What else, Holly?
Yes, so I think you just went over this, but just in case there's more to cover, somebody asked, they are a new agent, have been licensed for 5 months. They're not producing yet, but their wife has been with KW for more than 20 years, and they're in the process of ramping up their business. So they would like to hire an administrative assistant now, especially with having to learn new technology. And so they just wanted you to give them a comment on just hiring somebody now, even though they're not in production yet.
You know, the answer is if you have the budget for it, you have the reserves, you have the savings for it, absolutely hire someone right now. The other thing that I would suggest is maybe you take the course and you hire in the next 30 to 45 days, and yet all those calls are recorded, and you have your new hire listen to those calls on their time, and you go over the material with them. So whatever you do, sign up for the course, whether you take it, and then start to look for your hire. If you have the budget. If you don't have the budget, then you take the course and you put the systems into place, and in the next 6 to 8 months, you're going to have a hire, and then they can listen to all the calls on their time, and then you review the calls with them. Okay? All right. What else, Holly?
And then somebody is asking if their assistant should be an employee or an independent contractor.
Oh, thank you for asking that question. No assistant should ever be an independent contractor, or you'll get a $35,000 fine, more or less, like Monica Reynolds did in the 90s. So I had this assistant that's licensed, and she said, oh, I just want a straight check. I'm licensed. I said, okay, good. So I fired her after 6 months. No, it was after a year and a half. I had her for a while. I fired her. She goes to the California Employment Commission, files a complaint against me that she was an employee and I didn't take out withholding. I got fined by the IRS, the state of California, and I also got what they call those little bonus fines on top of that for, fraud, deceiving, whatever words they use. So when somebody comes into the office and they have hours, they sit at the same desk every day. They perform a job, and they have a job description. An independent contractor cannot have a job description. So when I'd hire a buyer agent, I'd say, here's your success checklist. Because if I said job description, they now have a job. Now I'm going to get fined. I'm going to get in trouble. And I'm going to owe all those back taxes. I'm going to owe all of the, everything, unemployment, all of that stuff. It's going to come down on you hard. So when you have someone come into the office, they have a job description, they sit at a desk, they perform a job, and they have hours, that is an employee. So never, never, never do that. So if anything you got out of today's call, I just saved you thousands of dollars with the IRS crawling all over you and your state. Okay, what else?
Okay, and can you also talk about using a virtual assistant?
I think the virtual assistants have come a long, long ways, and I appreciate what they do. With that said, as a mega agent, a top producer, you can't have a virtual, hey, I just got a great listing appointment. It's in an hour. Put together a pre-list package. Oh, hey, here's my car keys. Go get my car washed real quick and then come back by 1 because I got to leave. You can't delegate stuff like that when you're in the, oh my gosh, I can't believe I finally got this appointment. They want to see me now. How do you do that? Or you can't turn to your assistant and say, hey, can you look this up for me? I need to know that. Virtuals are great for this, and this is just my philosophy. Database, social marketing, media, marketing of any kind, putting a brochure together, a flyer together, that's what they're great at. Those kind of things, to me, could be delegated off, and they make about $9 to $10 an hour. There's some great services out there. I've heard that sometimes they can be great ISAs. You get to interview these people. I wouldn't probably have them be in contact with the clients. I would more, and then, you know, right now, my assistant Stephanie, who's on this call, we've worked together for 8-9 years, going on 9 years. She's virtual now, but we work together all the time. But she's virtual, but there's not a time that I don't reach out to her that she doesn't pick up the phone and I get immediate gratification on what I'm looking for immediately. So, you know, we have a rhythm down after all of these years. Plus, I'm not selling real estate as of a couple of years ago like I used to. So I don't have that need. However, if you are selling real estate, I say you need someone in the office. You need someone that you can turn to and say, can you look this up? Can you find out about this? Oh my gosh, can you help me with this? That's so important. So important. Okay, what else, Holly?
Do you offer benefits to your assistant?
You know, that's another great question. With the job market, so full right now, meaning, we're all vying for great, assistance, and there's not a lot of opportunities sometimes because there's very few people looking for jobs. So the answer is you're going to have to work that out, and yes. So what I share with them is that I want them to know that after 30 days, I will give them X amount of money to pay for their medical. It'll be a separate check, but it'll be regarding medical, okay? And so with that said, you have to come up with these things. The other thing that I think is important is that you give them opportunities to make extra money. If you're licensed from your friend, family, coworkers, I will pay you 25% referral bonus if you're licensed. If you're not licensed, I'll pay you $500 on every transaction. We'll call it a monthly bonus, January bonus, February, whatever, until you get licensed. I'm going to give you opportunities to get reviews and referrals. So I always say, when you work for me, I want you to have a thought process that you're going to make more money in referrals and reviews and et cetera that I'm going to pay you for than you do with your salary. This is not a cul-de-sac salary job. Your base salary is always going to stay the same. The more business I do, the more you'll get paid, and I always believe in paying per closing, like $50 or whatever. So the more closings I have, these are just my philosophies. And so if you're an assistant listening to this, talk to your boss if you want to about this, the agents listening to this. You want your assistants to grow with you financially, and yet we know they're not independent contractors. We know that they're not taking risk, and yet this is really important, okay? We want them to be successful with the way our business grows. So I always say your base salary is your base salary, never changes. How you make more money is more deals we do, and any way you can help us bring in referrals. And by the way, you're licensed. If you want to hold open houses, we'll train you, and you can bring those leads back. So I always want to make them part of the process. Okay, what else, Holly?
And what is your opinion of hiring an admin and a buyer's agent simultaneously?
Well, first of all, it sounds to me like you're out of model. So if you follow the model, first level 1 is you, level 2 is your first assistant, level 3 is your, second assistant. So you got you, assistant. You get 2 assistants before you hire a buyer agent. You need the production before you hire a buyer agent. A lot of people make the mistake of hiring a buyer agent before they hire an assistant, or they hire their first assistant and then they hire a buyer agent right away. You don't have the production to support the buyer agent. And yes, they can go find business, but they're going to starve on the way because you're going to still cherry pick the good buyers because you need the money to pay for your assistant. So follow the model. You hire 2 assistants, you get your production between 55 and 75 before you hire your first buyer agent. That's from Gary Keller. That's from Monica Reynolds. That's how you do it. If you want to be successful, you follow the model. So don't go out of model. Don't reinvent yourself on these deals. Don't be creative. Just follow the model. Next question, Holly.
That's all the questions that we have.
Okay, you guys, I'm Monica Reynolds. I would be excited to work with you for the next 6 months. The class starts on March 13th, March 13th, lucky day. Be sure you sign up. Get online right now. I can't wait to talk to you. Can't wait to share the information with you. Invest in your future. Everyone who takes this class literally says this is the best value. Unbelievable class. So please sign up. I'd love to talk to you in the future. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate you being on the call. Have a great day. Bye-bye.